Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2017 Lowell Varsity League Summer Term Group Stage, the actual final day of the group stage before we get into the playoffs, actually. And this is actually one of the most important days coming to this one. Of course, we'll be your shoutcasters for the second match. I'm Atlas. With me is Chisto, and let's get right into it. The second match we have for today, UPD Oblation Esports versus MCL Warlocks.
Of course, quick recap of what happened in the previous matchup. UST did pick up a 2-0 win over iAcademy Game Changers, so that means we now have a tie for the top spot. But now heading into the second matchup, it will be UPD versus MCL, both teams that have been in quite of a slump, I should say, throughout the group stage. So now they're going to try and end on a high note and possibly pick up 2 wins.
That's really important for these teams. Even though pretty much the slots are locked in for the top 3, this is still an opportunity to learn and change for these teams. And coming from a new roster for UPD, it's going to be more opportunities to actually learn. Looking at the standings, both of these teams are 2 and 8. So they are at the bottom of the pack. However, both of these teams still learning, still adapting to this new league that we've had. So it's going to be quite exciting to see what they can bring out in their last game for the group stage.
Yeah, and hope that they actually go all out, because nobody wants to end the first term of the LVL at the bottom spot. So I expect them to really try and come out on top. But of course, like I said, they have both been in a slump. So whoever executes better today, I should say, will be coming out on top.
Definitely. And I'm expecting quite a lot from both of these teams for this last fight that they have. Let's get right into later in the pick and bans we'll be seeing, because that's where everything begins. And really, it's going to be quite interesting to see how both of these teams fare for their for this match.
Yeah, and you mentioned the pick and ban phase. Of course, we all know UPD's coach, Mayhem. He knows the meta like the back of his hand, really. He knows what picks are strong. So I'm really expecting UPD to pull out a strong draft. And as for MCL, let's see how will they react to what they know UPD can do.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a test of skill for both of these teams. So it's interesting. I do think out of all the teams in the LVL that UPD has the most vision. They place a lot of control wards, and I think that is a catalyst for a lot of improvement that you can have. If your macro is actually, and pick and ban is somehow on point, but your execution isn't, then that still leaves a room for improvement that's actually much easier than having to learn the macro first and then going to the mechanics and execution.
But you mentioned macro and execution, right? Even though MCL has been slumping as well, I do think they have the execution. It's just they haven't been tying that with the macro, which you really need both of these aspects if you want to be successful in competitive League of Legends. So I wonder, have they finally tied these things together for this final match for their group stage?
Yeah, and that's what makes this match interesting here, is because both of these teams have the same standing for absolutely different reasons. And we'll be seeing right now how they actually fix it in their coming into this game of the group stage. So we'll be seeing the lineups for our teams here. Known in top lane, Veer in the jungle, Solace for mid lane, Yochan and Alto are the bot lane duo for UPD, with, of course, with their coach Red, Mayhem Bartolome.
Yeah, and moving on to the MCL Warlocks, we have Lucis in the top lane, Hatred in the jungler, Stellar in the mid lane, and rounding out their team in the bot lane, we have Asuka and McClure with their coach, Eric Avenir Esguerra.
It's going to be quite interesting, as I've said, to see how these teams have remedied their illnesses. And really, I think this is such a room for improvement for both of these teams. So let's get right into it. Picking bans for the first rotation of our bans here. Tristana locked away from Yo-chan. UPD bans out Camille and Zoe from Stellar.
Yeah, and
rather Lucis and Stellar.
Looking at these bans, of course, we are on patch 8.1, so there are minor changes, nothing
game-breaking or groundbreaking, rather.
Yeah, but looking at what has been picked, we know that Nona can play this Jace, but this is a flex pick for UPD because we've seen Veer pull out a jungle Jace before, so I wonder,
very surprising,
will the mind games happen for UPD? And looking at what MCL has hovered right now, it is a Vayne and a Braum, so very interesting choice for the bot lane here, because normally you'd see Vayne paired with a more shield or heal oriented support,
something that can really defend her and keep her alive in a different way that Braum can.
Yeah, of course, but Braum still can protect the Vayne and provide engage options for your team. And if MCL do lock in this Darius, that Braum will just be that layer that Darius needs to enable himself to get into these team fights. But I do believe we have a bit of a technical difficulty, so we will be moving away from the champ select. But looking at that,
so far, we know the priorities of both of these teams. Looking at the initial pick for UPD, it's going to be the Alistar and the Ornn. Both very, the Ornn's very popular. The Alistar could be paired well with another bot laner, very aggressive. As for the Jace, as you said, could be flexed out as for those picks, but by itself, a very powerful champion. We're not sure yet on the Darius for MCL, but their initial picks for the bot lane, just locking in that bot lane immediately, says a lot about how their priorities are. So picking Vayne and Braum right away, though, that gives a lot of information, a lot of room to adapt for UPD, and gives up a lot of information, really.
Yeah, and during the first matchup, we saw the Vayne coming from UST's carrots, and we know that if Vayne gets to that point in the late game where she has enough protection, she has enough items paired as well with the Overheal and Relic Shield combo, she's very hard to kill, and she deals a lot of DPS. So for MCL Warlocks, it's their job to get Asuka to that point where you can just carry them with the Vayne, with this very strong late game oriented champion.
Oh man, we might be seeing the Azir coming from Solace here, but looking back here at the second rotation of bans, Syndra locked away from Stellar, Sejuani locked away from Hatred. As for MCL, they don't want to deal with the Varus or the strong engage potential of the Jarvan.
Okay, now looking at what has been locked in, I can say that the Jace will be going to Veer once again, because Ornn is going to go to the top lane into Nona's hands. A very, very effective top laner, very low economy, very simple to play, I should say. He doesn't need that much resources to be relevant throughout all stages of the game. And
I'm not seeing the switch though, but it's probably going to go. I'm really not seeing jungle Ornn happening.
Maybe will though.
Maybe will. So they do switch it over to Veer for the jungle Jace. As for MCL, they still go for this very well-rounded composition that they have. They have lots of engage, disengage, many tools for the Darius to be enabled, and the Vayne as well to be protected. The manipulation of terrain from the Talia as well could be very helpful, especially to Lucis and Asuka.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the enabling the Darius, because UPD, they have a lot of options to knock the Darius away. You have Emperor's Divide, you have the Headbutt from Alistar, and if Darius doesn't have enough options from the rest of his team to actually get close, he's very, very ineffective as a champion. You really can't dish out the damage you need to do in these team fights, because you need to get those Hemorrhage stacks so that you can deal even more damage with your ultimate, get these resets, and just clean up the rest of these fights. So it's up to MCL to really try and chain their CC so that Lucis can get in the middle of these fights and start wreaking havoc at the members of UPD.
Yeah, if one member of MCL really gets ahead, if one of their damage dealers gets ahead, is going to be a domino effect for the rest of them. If Stellar gets ahead, then he can pressure for Lucis and Asuka's lanes. If Asuka gets ahead, then he's a good distraction for Lucis to go in. And if Lucis is ahead, that leaves a lot of room for Asuka to farm around and enable himself eventually. So very open-ended here for Warlocks on how they can snowball and get their win conditions. As for Ablation Esports, they want to go in, and they want to go in hard.
Yeah, very team-oriented comp, I should say, coming in from UPD Ablation as we head on the Rift for the first game of the second match of the day between UP Diliman on the blue side versus Malayan College Laguna Warlock on the red side.
Oblation Esports versus the Warlocks. It's going to be quite intense to see how this entire match goes. But let's see how they play out their level 1s. Alto right around the corner. Looking for something here, possibly to just get some vision on where the opposing jungler might be siding.
He does spot Hatred, though.
He does spot Hatred. But this still leaves quite a lot of time for Hatred to reposition, possibly, if he continues his recall. But it's just going to be a little dance, and he will be starting around that blue side still.
Stellar is having none of that annoying noise, of course. We all know that skin on Alistair can be very, very annoying. Once he spams his bell, so Stellar just gets annoyed, tosses rocks at him. Shoo.
Get out of here. And it actually does work. Leaves him with a little bit of wounds, but he's a healthy cow. He'll just tonk himself back into the bot lane after that with his passive.
And right now, actually, Atlas, we're seeing a double relic shield start from both bot lanes. And to shed some light on that, what that does, it basically makes your power spike arrive sooner, because having the GPM item, it allows you to get more gold and get to your core items even faster. And the rune synergy as well with the relic shield and the overheal, you just get so much more shielding, so much more protection. It's just harder to take down these 80 carries.
But look at that, fighting on the very first second that they get into lane. It does leave Alto with a few wounds here and there. He might be able to heal it with his passive eventually, but this is a very action-packed bot lane right away. They don't want to give the other one any breathing room.
Yeah, and of course, whoever hits level 2 first in this bot lane matchup will have a huge advantage in pressure, because once the Alistair gets access to his headbot pulverize combo, MCL's bot lane will just be forced to back off to prevent a losing trade, because that's a very, very strong combo this early into the game.
It looks like Yochan and Alto did get the early level 2, and as expected, looking at the minimap, Asuka is backing off along with the support.
Yeah, and that's a wise decision right there, because you really have to respect the power of the Alistair. And if the Vayne gets chunked very early in this lane without having a support that can heal her up, it's going to be very hard for her to farm. And looking now, Veer's looking for a gank top lane, but Lucius knows he's
relatively visible. Lucius is trying to go for him because he has Hatred to back him up. Body Slam actually hits both of them. This will make Veer bleed out. This will leave that Ornn alone. Nona has to get out of his way. However, I think the bleed will take him out. Lucius with a double kill right as the game starts.
Only at 3 minutes, already double buffs and 2 kills to the Darius. And we talked about enabling that champion in the pick and ban phase. And we're going to see a fight, though.
Yeah, Alto and Yochan trying to go for something against Asuka. I don't think it will amount to anything. However, there's a very low health Vayne.
And looking back at the point I was trying to make about enabling the Darius, we mentioned he needs resources from his team. He needs CC to get into these fights. And Veer got kind of baited right there. He didn't know if it was warded. So Hatred does the right thing, comes in for the counter gang. It was devastating.
And look at that. Perfect timing to get around Solace here, but he gets out of the way just in time. But yeah, seeing as how Lucius acted that really, really well. He was like doing that thing where you're hesitating whether to ward or not, hovering around that brush, and Veer fell for it.
Yeah, so great bait right there. I wonder how much more can Lucius take. Nona needs to be very careful approaching these trades now, because
that is max stacks.
Lucius with red buff and the bleed as well. Nona's gonna have such a hard time in this lane.
And still getting pushed in. Of course, Lucius has to be careful not to get caught off guard by the shield and the potential CC that Nona can put out. So here, he is going to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and I wonder, can this Darius use this lead to snowball even further? Because we've seen all of those Darius where he just cleans up fights once he gets rolling. And it's a very scary situation for UPD if Lucius gets out of hand here.
However, they do have a lot of ways to just put that in the dead zone. They have the On the Hunt, they have the Emperor's Divide. They have a lot of ways to actually just get him out where he can put harm to UPD. But maybe that's what they're banking on when the skirmishes start and when the teleport plays happen. But it's still going to be very hard because Lucius is so ahead right now with 2 kills. Nona is surviving, still CSing strong. But we'll have to see when the next gank or fight happens in top lane to see how this manifests and once they get his items.
Yeah, but it is still fairly early into the game, so until we see UPD group up, we won't get to see those knockbacks happen onto Lucis. And right now, he's just going to dominate top lane until Veer decides to influence this matchup again.
But it's going to be very difficult because Jungle Jace, even though it did work with Veer before, the weakness is still that it's going to be very painful if he ganks Lucis once again. The fact that he doesn't have the damage that a regular laning Jace would have, and then Nona doesn't deal as much damage as he would want against the Lucis. He's just going to heal up with his Q. It could be quite dangerous for him to actually gank Lucis once again, especially now that he's level 6.
And it will be very, very dangerous. So I think UPD right now will be content with just wave clearing and letting their members scale up, because we all know Ornn will be relevant throughout all stages of the game because he provides so much utility, so much CC for your team. And Solace on this Azir will scale like a monster into that late game. We know the DPS Azir can put out. Once you get 2 to 3 soldiers out, just pokes you for days. And you do have the Sivir as well, a lot of wave clear, so that option for UPD if they want to stall out the game versus MCL.
These are a lot of options for both of these teams to actually reach their points of power, and they're just playing around the game board right now, trying to see which action is best to actually get the lead against the other. And here it seems like the aggressiveness of this bot lane really pressuring this tower, really pressuring Asuka against the wall here, not letting him be too comfortable there. Could possibly pull Hatred. Actually, maybe the rest of the members of MCL a little bit sneaky. Stellar does have his ultimate.
Yeah, and that is a point of power for MCL. Talia's Weavers can be a very useful tool to block people off and go for these early game ganks where you roam to a side lane on Talia and just help them get ahead even further. But with that, you will sacrifice a bit of CS and experience in the mid lane if you don't shove the wave properly as a mid laner when you go for these roams.
It's very difficult to do that with Solace just constantly clearing these waves. Right now, he's the one pushing Stellar in. Every time that Stellar goes away from his lane to try and see if he can ult another lane, Stellar just absolutely clears that as fast as he can, meaning that Stellar every time has to make a choice. And it's actually... Stellar's been good on the timing. He hasn't missed a lot of CS. Relatively, very even with Solace. But for now, it's just going to be a ticking time bomb on when the roams can happen for this Talia.
Yeah, and Stellar, he's doing the right thing here. He's constantly shoving mid lane, especially with this blue buff. And once the wave pushes in, he's going to threaten a roam by disappearing into the brush. So Solace has to make a choice, but ooh, there's a bit of a gank.
This could be a little bit of a gank here. Alto in a little bit of trouble. He is very tanky as that Alistar, and that's 3 members wailing on him. He is stunned under turret, but there's no source of damage come from MCL. Solace trying to follow Stellar as he wants to ult to the bot side, but this could be bad for him. He does not have a flash. He has his heal up, so he can heal himself up. However, does not decide to use it, or uses it too slow, and Stellar gets a solo kill against him.
Yeah, hesitation right there for Solace, not popping his heal, so that means Stellar will pick up a great solo kill.
Oh man, Hatred just takes out Alto, and now Yochan is alone against Hatred. Red buff slowing him down. This is going to be a fight. Lucis versus Nona, 2-0, actually losing out here with the shields and constant damage coming from this Ornn. And those bleed stacks, not enough.
Yeah, so Nona pulling it back right there, able to pick up a solo kill onto the Darius, even though he was behind in pressure, able to stay calm. But the response from MCL, they brute forced down the bot lane. They were able to pick off Alto, and they're going to pick up the first turret of the game.
That's actually well played by MCL there. They know that their bot lane can actually take them out if they go for a 3v2. And because Nona is behind at that time, they were confident in Lucis. But there, they didn't even need him. They take him out. And when Stellar went down to the bot side jungle of UPD, Solace followed, but Stellar was setting up a trap for him.
Yeah, and that first turret take was huge as well for MCL. We know they have the Vayne, scales very well into the late game. The more gold you have in the Vayne's pocket, the faster she will get towards her damage items. I wouldn't be surprised to see Asuka pick up a very early Infinity Edge and just burst down the members of UPD.
It's going to be absolutely terrifying for UPD if they're able to snowball their leads. Even though Asuka did not get any kills there, the fact that his lanes are actually the rest of his lanes are actually winning, and the fact that Hatred can possibly roam more Stellar as well is very scary for UPD.
Yeah, and actually, MCL, they've opted for a very early rotation right here. They know that Nona doesn't have any kill pressure onto Asuka's Vayne, so they send her to the top lane, and now Vayne has a free lane to farm, and that's going to accelerate her build even more now.
It's going to be quite the ordeal here, because the fact is that even though Lucis is strong right now, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have a lot of kill potential against his bot lane unless Hatred intervenes. It can be easily kited, just headbutt it away, but he does have a wave clear as well.
Yeah, and not just Hatred, Stellar as well. On this Talia can use the Weaver's Wall to catch out the Sivir and the Alistar if they push up too far. So UPD, even though you mentioned they're fairly good at setting vision around the map, they still need to be very careful because MCL, they have a lot of options to punish them if they overextend in lane.
A lot of options that could go from unexpected angles, unexpected methods. And right now, MCL using their early lead to much effect, just pushing down this top lane turret.
And we know UPD, they have an understanding of the game. They have that macro sense that right now they're staying calm. They're just trying to let their members scale, because even though MCL have that Vayne for the late game, UPD has the Azir as well. So it's going to be a lot onto Solace to really be the carry for UPD at this stage, because they are behind, and they fell behind during the laning phase.
Veer trying to catch Hatred out, has to flash away. That is going to be a flash. Body slam not available for MCL for this one. Oh, flashes away from the explosive cast. Veer trying to take out Stellar. The Weaver's Wall not enough to divide them.
Yeah, such aggression right there from Veer, but
Alto could fall down. He is getting a lot of tankiness from his ultimate, but it's not enough. Spreading the bleed stacks all over the place. Now Yo-chan will give chase, flashes over. There will be no escape for Lucis. Misses the Decimate heal to try and get that last stand, and Yo-chan gets a kill.
It's actually a very well-timed spell shield right there, because if the spell shield didn't go off from Yo-chan, the Darius would have healed and possibly turned that around onto him. And looking back, that was such aggression by Veer, flashing over the Weaver's Wall, even though Yo-chan could have gone in and picked up the kill onto Stellar.
So definitely very good moves there for UPD to be able to do that.
Yeah, so they're calling back. The gold is just 1k. This is a very manageable lead. This is just the first tower take that is showing. So global gold advantage onto MCL, but it's not that much yet.
And the fact is, even with that very small lead that MCL has, UPD still has a lot of options to counter what MCL can do, because the lead is not enough for them to just brute force everything. And they still have a lot of ways to play around that small lead that MCL has. It just has to be the execution that's a question.
Yeah, and execution is the name of the game. And right now, we're going to see a fight.
On this top lane, both of the Call of the Forge Gods hit onto the bot lane here. McClurg and Asuka trying to go on to Veer. He's dealing a little bit of damage. Lucis is right around the corner. This is going to be a 2v3. Nona gets a kill onto Asuka. Trying to go for McClurg as well, but the rest of UPD is catching up quickly. Nona has maximum bleed stacks, trying to stall it away from Lucis, and now the rest of UPD might be around the corner. It is just going to be Alto. Did not decide to pull through with Solace getting the gank. So still, that is going to be a kill onto Asuka for UPD.
Yeah, that is a 1-for-1 there. Veer did go down, and they were able to take out the Vayne. So what that means, the Vayne will be delayed a bit. She will be spawning fairly soon, though. And now, I think UPD, they need to pool more resources. They need to begin grouping together, look for fights with the Ornn, with the Alistar, combo the CC abilities, because they have enough damage to follow up at this stage before MCL's members get tanky enough to survive all the bursts.
This is going to be another turret for MCL. They could possibly be a setup here for UPD to get a kill onto Lucis, but he's very strong and very brave. He will try to fight back against Alto and Yo-chan. Full bleed stacks on this cow, but he's getting CC'd a lot. Flashes into it with a Decimate, and I think he can actually take out Alto. And now Yo-chan on the run actually gets a kill onto Alto. Solace will try and save his 80 carry, but he's dealing a lot of damage. Emperor's Divide is necessary to try and save Yo-chan, and I think now Lucis just has to keep running, keep stalling for MCL to take
buying a lot of time.
Buying a lot of time indeed, and there Nona gets killed right there. That's a long time that Lucis was able to stretch for MCL.
Yeah, across the map though, that is a 2-for-1 trade in favor of MCL.
Plus a
Lucis was
turret.
able to outplay the 2v1 situation. He focused all the damage onto Alto, and Alto still early into the game, not tanky enough to deal with Darius' true damage. So great play coming from MCL's top laner.
Yeah, and this gives a lot of time, gave a lot of time for MCL to finish off that bot lane turret and that kill as well. And what happened was very well played there by Lucis, as you said. He knew that he won't be able to reach Jochan at all if he focused that. So knowing that he has a lot of true damage and just DOT, Worm the Bleed, focuses on Alto, and really pays off. And Jochan was really close to dying as well without Solace's intervention.
Yeah, with the outer turrets falling down for UPD, the next neutral objective available on the map is the Ocean Drake. Alto, will he face check?
Oh man, that is going to be a bad day for Alto as it gets cut down to beef strips. And this is going to be another dragon possibly for MCL as Stellar and Lucis make a move to return to their lanes.
Yeah, and the control by MCL, great macro right there. You credited UPD for setting up vision right there. MCL showing us what you could get from laying down proper vision. They denied UPD's vision, set up a kill of their own, and it leads to an objective. Great play by the Warlocks.
So far, with the points earlier that I said about these teams possibly fixing their mistakes for this game, MCL is manifesting that a lot more. When you said that their problem with their execution is that the macro doesn't tie it up all together, here it's actually working very well against UPD. And that's a lot of growth for MCL in that time frame.
Yeah, and you gotta hand it to them. You really have to credit the work that they put in. It's showing right now. They're going toe-to-toe with UPD, and I wonder, what can UPD do now? I mentioned they need to look for fights, but we haven't seen them group up yet. We're still waiting for them to go for that big engage with the Silver. 5-man just run down MCL before things get out of hand.
And at this point, they have to find a fight where Lucis cannot participate or participates with the very least impact, because he's 5-3-0 right now and always looking for kills. His health bar is enormous while dealing so much damage with his Black Cleaver, so it's very difficult for UPD to find that right fight that they want.
Yeah, but UPD, there's more than one threat from MCL that they have to keep in mind. If they focus, if they tunnel vision all onto Lucis, that will let Asuka on this Vayne just absolutely free hit. And if you leave a Vayne untouched in a team fight, that's basically a recipe for disaster, Atlas.
But if you leave Asuka but if you focus everything on Asuka, Lucis is just free to go for the distracted, out-of-position members. So like I said, it's a domino effect for there's this 3-threat composition that MCL has right now with their 2 tanks.
Yeah, it's a tough decision that Ablation Esports have to decide on. They need to make a choice right now because MCL, they're just choking them out, trying to make them bleed, and Alto's in trouble.
Alto could possibly be in trouble here. There's a wall blocking their path here. Yochan trying to save some time with a V right around the corner, but I think now MCL is still giving chase, but they have to pay respect to Solace here. He could be around the corner, and they do back off.
My god, Lucis is bullying Nona in this top lane. Nona, she's just forced to wave clear versus this Darius, and looking at that fight right there, I think that was UPD trying to make an aggressive move, but wisely enough from MCL, they know Lucis can't respond because even though he has teleport, Nona can just cancel it with the amount of range he has on Call of the Forge God. So wisely enough, MCL, they back off to prevent a numbers disadvantage from happening.
And all of that, UPD gets their first turret of the game here, opens up a little bit of that bot side map, allowing them to focus on the mid side as well as going for the top as well. So they have a little bit more freedom now, but they are still quite behind in terms of everything in this game.
Yeah, and now we're moving into the mid-game point, Atlas, and looking at the lead, at first it was around 1k, very manageable, but for MCL, they've slowly but surely been building up the gold lead. They have been taking these small advantages here and there, and they're forcing UPD to be the reactive team. So I like this from MCL, just showing control, but not taking too many big risks.
This is very slow-paced, very prepared for everything. The 2 Ocean Drakes means that MCL has such an advantage when the pace of the game is like this, when it's a little bit slower. They can just regen back whenever that they and UPD have a short skirmish and trade. That means they have a lot more survivability coming into these lanes. When they try to go for objectives, they can back off, heal it up, and UPD needs to react either with incomplete resources or they can just give up completely and back off.
And one of the ways UPD can react to that is possibly challenge the Infernal Drake. UPD's comp, they have a lot of options to team fight. So if they're able to execute a good 5v5 and come off with a win, they need to translate that into these objectives. So I wonder, when will UPD pull the trigger?
It's going to be very hard, actually, to find a way, because here, Alto, once again, a little bit of trouble. 3-man pulverize. Yochan trying to go in, deal some damage with On the Hunt, but it's really fruitless right now. A lot of tankiness, but Nona and Veer might use this to get a gank onto Lucis, but he's still dealing a lot of damage. Very survivable. The Decimate heal does not proc, and Nona gets a kill.
Yeah, so great play right there by UPD, abusing the 2v1 situation, and they knew 3 of the members were stuck mid lane, so they know there will be no response coming from MCL. So great pickup right there.
They might try for a 1v2. I don't think that's recommendable. The body slam gets cancelled with a knockup. But it seems like there's going to be the Weaver's Wall to try and help out this top lane situation. And now UPD actually gets a kill onto Hatred, trying to finish off this turret as Stellar is right around the corner. And I think this is going to be a 2-for-1 with the turret not even taken by UPD. They overstayed.
They had to overstay because they saw the Weaver's Wall come out, so they were stuck between literally a rock and a hard place. So
so here they try and remedy things, going for the mid lane turret. So in the end, I do think it cancels out with a little bit more map control for UPD at this point possible for them.
Yeah, with the mid lane tower going down for MCL, that allows Ablation Esports to go for more aggressive invades to lay down vision into the jungle of MCL. So that's more information for them to work with, and they will make very good use of this. Like we mentioned, they saw that they could have taken down Lucis in the top lane, but Darius does not have any built-in escape, so well played right there. And what can they go for more though?
There was a point in that 2v1 where Lucis could have made everything go bad for UPD. If the Decimate heal proc, then that was like a few more seconds for him to deal damage. But after that, it was very good reactions from both teams. MCL goes top very quickly to secure the 2 kills, and knowing that those 2 members are dead, they go straight for the mid lane turret.
Yeah, and speaking of reactions,
Oh,
Infernal Drake is up.
Oh man, gets pulled over. Alto has to flash away from that, meaning that he cannot flash in and engage on this Infernal Drake. And once again, this Drake goes uncontested to MCL without anything in return.
Yeah, I don't think UPD would be interested in actually challenging that. Dragon Solace was in base. Nona did not have his teleport, so UPD, they will just back off and go for Baron Vision here.
Oh man, this could
they
be
need to be careful
bad.
though.
Hatred does have the explosive cask and does not have the flash, but could body slam into more range. But it seems like they will just threaten them away from a safe passage.
Alto does not have flash. He needs to be very careful here. Because we've seen Alto get caught out earlier, and without the Alistar, that's one less layer of protection for UPD's carries. So right now, they need to stick together and prevent these picks from happening.
Yeah, like that earlier, that was almost a pickup. Alto was tanky enough to survive the initial volley, but getting pulled over over the dragon wall, that was very scary of an experience.
Very scary indeed. I mean, huge backboard pulling you in. There's a cow in a onesie. He'd be very scared of that, and MCL, I do think they're trying to brute force this mid lane, but it's very, very hard to push versus Sivir.
A lot of wave clear just in general from this UPD squad, so it's quite difficult. But that turret is so close to being demolished, giving more global gold for MCL. But in that time frame, it seems like UPD slowly closing this gold gap from 2.5k earlier. It's now 1k, around 1.1. And that is still a very manageable lead. So this game still could go either way depending on how these carries and their compositions get executed.
Yeah, and you mentioned the gold lead, Atlas. I mean, the longer the game goes, I think the less relevant gold becomes. Once you're all 6 items, 4 or 5, once you're even in that sense, it really all comes down to how well you execute, how well you move around the map.
Going to face off against another 2v1. The rest of the members of MCL possibly trying to save him, but the Decimate heal could actually save him completely there, as that means that's enough time for Hatred to get there, and the rest of the team actually. But he could get stuck between a rock and a hard place, but Yochan could pay for it. There's the wall from Emperor's Divide. There's a huge roasting here in the middle with Alto in the middle. Lucis trying to go for something against Solace, and MCL takes it away, 1 kill.
Yeah, there wasn't enough DPS coming out right there. All of the zoning tools were already used, and with no protection left to deal with Lucis, UPD will be forced to back off. And now MCL, they're starting the Baron, but we know Nona from UPD is a master at stealing this objective. I wonder,
can he pull off the chase as well?
Veer, do it.
Could actually go. Veer hits a smite, but the rest of UPD go for the rest of the low health members of MCL in the flash. That is 4 members down for MCL and Stellar running away. That happened so suddenly that I just had to take a pause there. And this gives UPD so much to work with. 4 members down, 25-second death timers. They can get this objective here in the mid lane. That turns around the gold lead to their side. And that flash,
that was a disaster.
UPD turns it around. That was a disaster for MCL. I was thinking that they won't be able to take it. But like I said, UPD has this all-in composition that they can work with. And because MCL left themselves open, low health from Baron, they just jump in 1 second. They take 4 kills and then the Baron. I'm actually really surprised.
And of course, if you all clump up in that pit, look at this. Veer with a clutch play, able to pick up the Baron steal. And look at this. MCL, all of them are clumped up.
AoE.
Azir soldiers, Ricochet from Sivir. You are going to get shredded in this pit. This is a death pit for MCL and Stellar. He's forced to run for the hills. There is nothing MCL could have done there. It's such a disaster for them.
Oh man, Alto once again gets caught as we get back to the live game. But yeah, that was absolutely surprising that MCL really committed to that Baron. And the biggest mistake was that they clumped together while in that pit, because there were ways to avoid the AoE damage coming from UPD, but there was so much. And Jace is one of those best champions you can bring when you want to pressure Baron when your opponents are doing it. Because you have the Shock Blast, you have the AoE, you have the rest of the tools from Azir and the rest of the members of UPD. So it's quite surprising.
I should say a bit of disrespect right there, because Jace is one of those poke champions. But we're going to see fight!
Oh, and it's going to be Solace taken down in a blink of an eye. MCL unfazed by that Baron throw that they had. And they are going straight for the mid lane. Nona using this opportunity to go for the top lane turret. But the rest of UPD giving chase, canceling the recalls. That's a headbutt, pulverized onto 2 people. Lucis taking a lot of damage. But McClure is such a huge wall. Alto gets taken down. Yochan is an 80 carry in the middle of 4 people and gets taken down. Nona still trying to go for something in this inhibitor, but Stellar might be the one to get him away. He might be able to endure through, but this 4-member squad of MCL is going straight for the turrets.
The wave clear is down for UPD. It's still 10 seconds onto Solace. I think Nona was able to take down the inhibitor, but MCL, they're able to trade it for the mid lane one of UPD.
So this is going to be a lot of the Baron buffs taken away. The gold now absolutely even. The real thing that separates these two is the 3 Drakes on the MCL side. And here, look at
this. This is a numbers disadvantage for UPD. Their main goal by taking this fight is to delay the members of MCL from backing off, because no one was split pushing in the top lane. Unfortunately, Yochan, the main wave clear source of UPD, gets apprehended by the Darius. That is a critical error. If Yochan survived there, MCL wouldn't have been able to trade for the inhibitor, because they would have been able to defend with Baron and the Sivir wave clear as well. So clutch plays and misplays coming from both teams, really.
Yeah, because one of the biggest factors for team fights for UPD is that Ornn. The Bellows Breath, the CC prolonging.
The ultimate as well.
The ultimate as well, because they didn't have that, even though it was essentially a 4v4 with Stellar being very low, having to back off. It wasn't enough for them to get that win on that fight. They did get the inhibitor, which was what they were going for, but they had to pay their own mid lane one in return.
And speaking of consolation prizes, I mean, UPD, they're going to pick up their first Drake of the game. It is fairly late though, so you won't get as much benefit from the Ocean Drake as you would have in the early laning phase. So now I wonder, what can UPD do? The Baron buff has disappeared now, and MCL, they're beginning to set vision around that objective, trying to set up another death push.
Alto face checks this once again is going to be absolutely terrifying for UPD, but it seems like they're just going into the mid lane.
They're not buying it.
Yeah, they're not buying. They're just going straight to clear these super minion waves, and MCL seems to have gotten the clue, but they could get flanked here if they just go in willy-nilly. They don't have vision behind them. They have to loop around this route.
They're going to rotate the bot lane, go for the turret.
Yeah, possibly going with Nona. Here comes Yochan. Oh, if that hit coming from McClure, it would have been disastrous for UPD.
They were pretty safe, though. They were running pretty fast.
Yeah, very fast with the on the hunt. But that slow could have been terrifying for Yochan if he hadn't spell shielded or dodged it.
Yeah, so things have kind of slowed down here, Atlas, because both inhibitors from both teams did go down top lane for MCL and the mid lane for UPD. They're just forced to go in this wave clear situation. I think this favors UPD because
definitely
having that Sivir just instantly clears waves, and it's very, very hard to siege unless you're able to take down Yochan.
And even with the super minions incoming, UPD just clears them so fast, as you've said. And the pressure from the top lane means that MCL right now is at a disadvantage. But they can actually still catch MCL out, rather UPD out. Because look at that Weaver's wall trap. Yochan and Alto cannot get away here, has to flash away. Alto gets roasted once again. The Call of the Forge God not very impactful, and UPD has to back away completely.
Alto, he could have flashed to get over the Weaver's wall, but a bit of hesitation right there, possibly saving it for the next team fight because Baron is up in the next minute.
He did have his ultimate as well there. He could have canceled a lot of damage while he was being CC locked, but there, the positioning of that Weaver's wall was so great, being able to lock down. Here comes Hatred, however, in a little bit of trouble. UPD still giving chase. McClure shielding a lot of damage for his team. Seems like UPD might be in need to dance in and out of this fight. A lot of damage come from Solace, but here comes Stellar. He's trapped behind enemy lines. He does have the flash, but Nona just jumps over. He gets poked away. But here comes Nona still going through. Could possibly go for it, but now he just catches himself in the middle of three members. He does get the kill, but the rest of UPD still going in strong, with Stellar dealing loss of damage. So far, 2 members down for MCL, 1 for UPD. They could still go for this turret.
Yeah, UPD, they were able to run down the members of the MCL Warlocks because Lucis wasn't there. The Darius is critical for the damage of MCL, but he's forced to defend these turrets. So without the Darius there is no threat onto the members of UPD.
And I do like how in that fight, Yochan and Solace, with the effect of the hunt is on, they're just weaving in and out of the range of what MCL can bring out while dealing their own damage very consistently. And what happened there was they were able to poke down MCL eventually, that they could finish off the kills and get that bot lane turret.
Yeah, and
still very small lead though.
Even with that small lead, Baron is up. You think you're going to pull the game in your favor with the Baron buff. He's just going to say nope.
That's going to be the key, and I think MCL is going to be a lot more careful with how they move around this Baron here.
UPD also has to be very careful.
Definitely.
Right now in Summoner's Rift, I think the most important objective is the Baron, because whoever picks up that objective will be able to dictate the pace of the game for the next 3 minutes.
Whoever holds the Baron buff controls the universe for this match here. It seems like they're thinking...
Control Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, but for now it seems like they're playing around it. Even this charge into mid lane is playing around the Baron, and they have to be, like you said, absolutely careful with how they dance around it. But even though with the inhibitor back up, there's still a substantial wave on that top side, and inhibitor minions, that huge wave of minions took away the inhibitor from MCL. They were so busy dancing around that purple worm that they didn't notice all those super minions wailing onto that inhibitor.
Yeah, UPD, they're playing this macro game very, very patiently, letting the minions do the work. MCL, they have to defend. And now they're going to go for a fight.
In with Call of the Forge God and on the hunt. Knocks up only one man, but they get apprehended in. This is fighting under turret. They have a lot of shields. Hatred is right around the corner. Separates UPD into a death pit here near the turrets of MCL. Asuka takes away a lot of kills. They're now in pursuit of Yochan. He's going to try and fight back with his own shields, but it is a futile effort. The barrier, the shields, everything. The Baron, maybe not even, just get the inhibitor, then go for that objective after, because these death timers are still quite long.
Yeah, so great cast by Hatred, separating the members of UPD right there. Great flank around by the Gragas, and right now, since the death timers are 30 seconds still, MCL, they can take anything
Lucis
they want.
Could face tank this.
Are they going to go for the end?
Potentially end the game here if they're fast enough.
Hero plays by Alto. He's delaying the wave.
He's delaying the wave a lot, and these will eventually break through the resistances of Lucis and McClure. So he's really trying to delay the wave, but the
spawns are coming
forever. So they have to back off. MCL has to back off.
Okay, now UPD's members are up. MCL, I see pings on the Baron. They're going to try and go for the objective. Look at this fight in the mid lane.
Oh, man.
This is very aggressive by UPD, but the explosive cast by Hatred separates the DPS of UPD.
Man.
Yochan was a non-factor in this fight, and MCL were able to pick up the key targets with the Azir down, with the Jace down, no DPS left. They're able to clean up and translate that into the mid inhibitor of UPD. Great
that was
fight.
Disastrous. One point was that the Call of the Forge God bounce was completely blocked by McClure. The second was they did not take into account where Hatred was. So when they were jumping and tunnel visioning with their full-on engage, in the last split second they were like, wait, where's Hatred? And then that's when the explosive cast comes. And the camera pans to Hatred, and it's just disaster. They could potentially screw up here. Call of the Forge God. Oh man, Hatred might possibly fall down behind enemy lines now, and the rest of UPD just go straight to
watch
damaging
Asuka.
MCL. Asuka is a great factor here, but they have to be very careful in how much
they got
DPS is
it here.
killing. Lucis is still surviving, dealing lots of damage there earlier, but now actually it seems like the fight is in MCL's favor as 2 members of UPD are down and they have to run away.
Yeah, they pick up the kills, and only Veer and Yochan left alive to defend. MCL, they're ignoring the Baron. I think they might try and go for the end here.
They're still very healthy. That is quite a possibility. And Veer and Yochan, they have a lot of wave clear together, but it's going to be putting themselves at such a risk because MCL right now has 4 members up. They're trying their best. Seems like they could succeed potentially. The waves are
There's
going
a lot
down
of wave
very,
clear
very
with
quickly.
Jason Sivir.
However, MCL still going strong, hitting these turrets down. If they're not going to take the Nexus, they might at least take away the rest of these turrets. They are getting the very, very low health. McClure,
I think they've done it.
And Asuka. I think Yochan could still potentially go for it.
Oh,
The
they got it
damage coming from Veer is so much. Yochan still giving chase onto McClure and Hatred. And that was a 2v4 that ended very, very well for UPD.
That was great execution coming from Oblation
Teleport
Esports.
gun from Nona. They could possibly go for even more destruction here as they're pushing onto the mid
Is this a
lane.
turnaround?
This could be a turnaround because look at that. These are 30-second death timers, and Nona can potentially take down Lucis here if the Decimates don't keep healing him up. And they're slowly closing in here. The rest of UPD catching up. 20 seconds of the rest of MCL. They
think
could
that's
possibly
it.
turn this around from such a huge outcome from those team fights. They actually turn it around 1-0 for UPD in such a surprising manner.
What an insane ending to that game. Veer and Yochan just at the end able to defend. And with that win, UPD will break their losing streak and go up 1-0 in the series.
Breaking that 9-game losing streak, getting this 1-0 so far. This means that it's going to be much harder for MCL. They want to take out at least 1 win in this match. And that was very well played from both teams.
Yeah, definitely both teams. But in the end, it was execution that when it came down to wire, UPD just out-executed MCL with their clutch calls and really fast decisions from Veer as well. I really have to credit UPD's jungler because he made a lot of clutch plays during that game.
Definitely a lot
the
of clutch
Baron
plays.
steal,
Oh,
the
man.
final defense, man. He just buffed up Yochan and just, man, we're going for this defense even if it's 2v4. We just have to do it.
Yeah, and the
They
thing
pulled it
was,
off.
MCL was bunched up in that entire fight. So, like again, same as the Baron Pit fight where they lost. It was because they were bunched up. Perfect targets for the Shock Blast, for the To the Skies, for the Boomerang Blade, and the Bouncing Blade. All of it just worked together, and I was looking at the health bars of MCL in that 4v2 and it's like, wait, what's happening? They're actually doing it. And in the end, the hubris actually took them down.
Yeah, and a heartbreaking loss really for MCL. They were very, very close. I wonder, are they flustered now? Can they bounce back in the next game? Let's hope they can put up another very well executed fight in the next game and tie this and end in a one for one.
The 1-for-1 would be a really great scenario here for MCL. Both for the teams looking at it now, in the context of now, and also in the context of next term. Because that means that their growth is pretty much equal, which is very healthy for this entire league. And looking at it, that was a very good showing from both of our teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next match.
Definitely, it's going to be the next match for LVL. Is going to be very, very exciting. Just 2 more matches left for the final day of the group stage, and then we'll move on to the playoffs. But of course, that's for the rest of the day. We've been your shoutcasters for the second match, second game. I am Atlas. With me was Chisto, and we'll be seeing you for the third match after the break. hard place, but Yochan could pay for it. There's the wall from Emperor's Divide. There's a huge roasting here in the middle with Alto in the middle. Lucis trying to go for something against Solace or MCL.
Can he
have
pull
the
off
chase as well.
Veer, do it.
Could actually
he got it!
Veer hits a smite, but the rest of UPD go for the rest of the low health members of MCL in the flash. That is 4 members down for MCL and Stella running away. But the rest of UPD giving chase, canceling the recalls. That's a headbutt, pulverized onto 2 people. Lucis taking a lot of damage, but McClure is such a huge wall. Alto gets taken down. Yochan is an 80 carry in the middle of 4 people. Rather UPD out, because look at that Weaver's wall trap. Yochan and Alto cannot get away here, has to flash away. Alto gets roasted once again. The Call of the Forge God. Call of the Forge God and on the hunt. Knocks up only 1 man, but they get apprehended in. This is fighting under turret. They have a lot of shields. Hatred is right around the corner. Separates UPD into a death whip here near the turrets of MCL. Asuka takes away a lot of kills. They're now in pursuit of Yochan. He's going to try and fight back with his own shields, but it is a futile effort. The barrier, the shields, disaster. They could potentially screw up here. Call of the Forge God. Oh man, Hatred might possibly fall down behind enemy lines now. And the rest of UPD just go straight to watch Asuka. MCL. Asuka is a great factor here, but they have to be very careful in how much damage he's dealing. Lucis is still surviving, dealing lots of damage there earlier. But now, actually, it seems like the fight is in MCL's favor as 2 members of UPD are down and they have to run away.
Yeah, they pick up the kills, and only Veer and Yochan left alive to defend.
Nexus, they might at least take away the rest of these turrets. The very, very low health.
I think they've done it.
Asuka, I think Yochan could still potentially go for it.
Oh,
the damage coming from Veer is so much. Yochan still giving chase onto McClure and Hatred. That was a 2 slowly closing in here. The rest of UPD catching up. 20 seconds of the rest of MCL. They could possibly turn this around from such a huge outcome from those team fights. They actually turn it around. 1-0 for UPD in such a surprising manner.
What an insane ending to that game. Veer and Yochan.
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.